Hello, and welcome to episode 133 of Design Curious Podcast. I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. Today on the podcast, we are talking about aging in place. That is an area of design that comes up every once in a while. Everybody is aging in place, right? People, as they're remodeling their bathrooms and kitchens, want to think about the future and make sure that they don't have to redo the bathroom again in 5 years or be timeless and last for another 20 years. And then in 20 years, they might have some different needs, but could still accommodate them. So that's what we're talking about today. It's an area that a lot of designers specialize in. I've been talking to some of the mentees in my program about it. And so I thought it'd be a good topic to bring up today, as we haven't really touched on anything with universal design or aging in place. And so we'll talk about that today. Before we get there, I want to remind you about my design mentor. I have some great students in there right now. It is a very easy and approachable first level coaching program where I'm really just your mentor, guiding you along the way as you're starting your career path and giving you my best advice and areas to avoid and feedback on anything that you might be working on. So check that out if you want a design mentor. I'd love to have you in the program. Okay, let's talk about aging in place. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. Okay, so what is aging in place? Aging in place doesn't always mean that it is for universal design. So there's a difference between aging in place and universal design. Universal design comes into place when we are designing around someone who has a physical handicap or disability so that they cannot move around in the space and function as per standard human interactions and dimensions would allow. So there are modifications that need to come into place, especially if this person is in a wheelchair. There are a lot of rules and regulations that go around universal design. So aging in place, though, is just that, as it as it is described in its name, is for people who want to stay in their home as they age. It doesn't mean that it's just for seniors, and it doesn't mean that it's going to make your house look institutional. It can just take into account the fact that as a person ages, they start to develop certain things that might not allow them full function, capacity. They might have arthritis in their hands, and so turning a round doorknob might be more difficult than if you had a lever door handle. So things like that to keep in mind. And people can have arthritis at a young age as well. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're older. It's just allowing the design of the home to meet the needs of that person. So when we're designing, though, with an eye towards aging in place, we are looking at things that might come into play when they are older as well. And we want people to be able to live in their homes as long as they can, to have their independence as long as they can without having to make modifications or live through a remodel when they're elderly. It's so much harder to do that. So it's great to do those modifications initially and plan ahead for the future when they're in a fully functional capacity. So some key things to consider when you are designing for aging in place are the accessibility. So perhaps a person may eventually be in a wheelchair, or they may have a walker, or they might have knee surgery. They might have crutches at some point. That could be at any age. And so we want to allow for wider doorways, wider hallways, if possible, more open floor plans, and zero-step entries so that there's no step up going into the house or out of the house if possible. Of course, the more extreme version would be to add ramps at the entries and exits of the home, but there are ways to do that very beautifully as well. Ideally, the person would not have a multi-level home. A one-story that doesn't have any step downs or step ups would be ideal. However, there are a lot of seniors that do have two-level homes with a stairway, which some will say that keeps them young. But if they need to add a chairlift into that stairwell, that is definitely something that can be done. We've done that before. You want to think about safety and fall prevention. So having non-slip surfaces, especially in wet areas like the bathroom or kitchen. Excellent and great lighting for tasks, for wayfinding in the night. Handrails, so maybe put blocking in the walls that if there is a step down or step up, make sure there's a handrail for a person to hold on to pull themselves up. And then smart tech is definitely going to be something more and more that we're looking at for incorporating into the home. So if someone does fall and they have Alexa or Google or something, then there's a device that can listen to them and call emergency services if they need that, which is great. But there's also other things that can come in for monitoring a person in their home as needed. As the person maybe is having more memory function issues, there's a lot of tech going towards that nowadays. We want to consider functionality and convenience. So like I mentioned before, the lever style handles on doors are great. They look beautiful. You can do them for any home. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're aging in place when you have them. They just happen to be easier to use when you do have problems squeezing your hand shut. Having lower countertops in certain areas could be nice to consider for a person who maybe is in a wheelchair or maybe just isn't that tall to begin with and perhaps might lose an inch or two over the time that they age, and then having an extra tall countertop is not really going to be useful for them. So lowering a few countertops could be good. One I think that is especially useful is motorized window treatments, because with the remote you can raise and lower the window treatments as you like. You can also have them on settings so they automatically do that. So convenient. You don't have to reach across a sofa or reach into a bay window to have to reach and pull down or push up or pull to the side any treatment that you might want your privacy or to block light. And then you want to consider comfort and aesthetics. So how to integrate these features all without looking like a hospital, without sacrificing style. There has been, in recent years, a lot more attention to making grab bars and something that doesn't look institutional. So there are some beautiful grab bars out there. You would never know. You sometimes can install a grab bar as a shower slide. So that can also be a multifunction. But there are definitely ways to incorporate layered lighting and different things to help a person age, but without having it be apparent. I'm taking a break in the episode to talk about our episode sponsor, Cozy Earth. We are talking about aging in place in this episode, and one of the things to consider for your clients as you're looking for the betterment of their home is how they are sleeping. It is very important to sleep well because that helps your brain function properly, and as you get older, sleep becomes more and more important. So Cozy Earth has amazing viscose from bamboo sheets that are so smooth and luxurious. I've tried them myself and I can definitely vouch for them. You're going to want this for yourself and for your clients, which I definitely am now. I was looking for more sources for sheets as well as towels and other things. They've got so much on there. They have pajamas. It could be a nice gift for your clients. So prioritize your sleep and use my exclusive code DesignCurious at checkout for 40% off best-selling sheets. And like I said, they have towels and pajamas and more. If you want to check them out, again, that's code DesignCurious at checkout. And they also give you 100 nights to decide with their sleep trial. And their bedding products come with a 10-year warranty. So go to CozyEarth.com and check them out today and let them know you heard about them on Design Curious. All right, let's think about the different rooms you might want to consider when you approach aging in place design. So entryways, like I said, you might want to have a ramp going up, or at least off to the side. You might have steps, and then you might also have a ramp that you could design off to the side and make that accessible should that person need to with a walker or with a wheelchair. Hallways, having motion sensor lighting going down the hallway would be great so that they don't have to walk down a dark hallway. It automatically comes on for them. In the kitchen, pull out shelves are great because they can't necessarily reach all the way in the back. And so having something that can pull out, if they stand off to the side, they pull that shelf out and then they can reach the thing that's in the back. Touchless faucets and considering the appliance placement. So you might want to not have the microwave up high, or you might want to have the ovens all down at right below the countertop and the microwave there. You can have dishwasher drawers. You can have all different kinds of things that are right at that hip level to make it so much easier for people to access. And then in the bathrooms, of course, walk-in showers are great. People, regardless if they're thinking about aging in place, are often pulling out the tub showers that are in so many secondary bathrooms and putting in just a walk-in shower because it's more beautiful and it's much easier to access. So perhaps they have a guest room with a tub shower and maybe their parents are aging. And so they think perhaps their parent might have to come live with them at some point. They might want to change that tub into a walk-in shower. A low threshold at that shower can be fine. It's usually not too terrible to have the curb, but there is also the ability to do a curbless shower, which is beautiful. And we do that often just for aesthetics, but it also gives that no threshold so that there's nothing to step over, nothing to trip on, and they don't have to lift their leg high. They can just push a walker right in there or a wheelchair if that's needed. And then grab bars, like I said, can always do blocking in the wall and prepare for down the road if you need to add grab bars later, but then the blocking's already there. So you don't have to worry about the location of where you put that grab bar. And then, like I said, they have some beautiful designs that can just blend in seamlessly to the look of the bathroom. And then another thing to consider is comfort height toilets. A lot of these old toilets in the homes are way low. I just did a consultation the other day and I'm like, how low is that toilet? It does not even seem standard because it was like from the 70s or something like that. So comfort height toilets are nice for any age except maybe a toddler. So, and of course, they have step stools for toddlers. So, I would say even if you're not going to have aging in place designed specifically for your home, you definitely want to have taller toilets because it's so much nicer. Okay, and then the bedroom and living areas. The ground floor bedroom is ideal because then you're not having to go upstairs or going to add a chairlift. And then you want to think about the furniture layout for mobility ease. So there's not a lot of furniture pieces that are going to be in the way in the middle of the night if they have to get up and use the restroom. You want it to just be an easy flow for them and, of course, visually pleasing and healing as well. So what about the emotional side of aging in place? There's the importance of maintaining independence and dignity. So many people as they age don't want to leave their home. I mean, there's so many memories. They're so comfortable there. They know where everything is. They could usually find the bathroom with their eyes closed from their bedroom. So there's definitely a good point about staying in the home as long as you can. So that's the first thing to consider. And then you want to design for mental well-being. So we've talked about healing design before where it's biophilic, bringing the outdoors in and using a lot of green and nature-inspired design, adding personal touches, so family photos, things that bring them joy, items from their travels or from their past that can be easily seen and recall a good memory to mind. And then as much as you can, having that connection with nature. So making sure that those window coverings can open during the day and bring in some fresh light, some fresh air, so nothing gets stagnant or dusty or moldy or anything like that. And then you want to involve the family members in the process. So if this person is already aging, Maybe you're going to have a caretaker in the home. Sometimes it's good to talk to other family members who might be taking care of that person or have concerns about that client's health. It's a thing to consider for sure. So, where do you start if you're a designer just starting out and you want to maybe specialize in aging in place? Well, there are certification programs you can take. I personally don't know a lot about them, but you can go look them up. I think they're put on by the National Association of Home Builders, and it's called CAPS. It's a Certified Aging in Place Specialist. So that's something you can do if that's an area you'd like to get a niche for. I have some people I've worked with in my design mentor who have come out of the medical field and are going into design, and they want to use their medical background as part of their niche. So they're working on aging in place as one of their specialties, and it's just a natural fit. It's a great way to set yourself apart. It doesn't really exclude you from anybody because everybody's going to pretty much be aging in place. It's nice to know, though, for the people who are looking for that. And perhaps a lot of people have just never considered about aging in place. They're only thinking about now and not for 5 or 10 years from now. So it's great to have that certification to give you a little more confidence as you're starting out your career. I would definitely look into that. So, final thoughts, aging in place isn't about making a home feel like a hospital. It's about thoughtful design. It allows people to thrive in their space for years to come. And that's really the goal that we want for all of our clients. Think about how you are aging in your home, or you see your parents or some loved one who is aging, and really take note of the things that they need, the problems that they come across in their home. That's all going to inform you for when you're doing consultations, and it'll help you to ask the right questions. So perhaps that opened your eyes to an area of design that you could specialize in. If that is of interest to you, then I definitely recommend doing a little more digging and research into perhaps getting certified and really what it means to be an aging in place specialist. That's all I have for you this week. Next week, I'll have another great episode, an interview for you. So stick around for that. And until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.